Today Africa Podcast is a podcast series where we interview African entrepreneurs and professionals and share the stories behind their businesses. In each interview, we ask how they got started, how they grew, and how they run their business today. The stories are inspiring and also provide specific advice and insight into starting a business. By sharing these stories, we want to help others get started.
Welcome to another episode of Today Africa Podcast, and today we'll be talking about preserving our language, our indigenous language. Joining me today is Chioma Ekeoma. She's the founder of Adaoma Igbo Language Services. So, Chioma, you're welcome.
Thank you so much. I appreciate. Thank you.
All right. I've been thinking what could have inspired a certified medical lab scientist, into becoming an Igbo language tutor. So what inspired you into venturing this path?
Actually, I am laughing because I get to hear that question over and over and over again. So I'm not surprised to hear it today again. Yes. If I'm permitted, I want to say an Igbo proverb. There is a saying in Igbo that "O nwere ihe mere ede ji bee nwee." I don't know if you've ever heard of that. Or na awa adịghị agbọsị ehihie n'efu, meaning that there is a reason, something caused another. Pardon me, I'm all over Igbo. Anything around me is Igbo. So any opportunity I see to express myself in Igbo, I don't hesitate. Okay. Right. So what inspired me, despite the fact that I'm a certified medical laboratory scientist? Okay. So first of all, before I became a medical laboratory scientist, let's say I was first a teacher. Good. Now, if we are to talk about religion, some people call it in the scriptures, some call motivational gifts. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. There are some that can clean for you. Like when they are done cleaning, you won't even want to match wherever they cleaned, right? Good. So teaching is one of my motivational gifts. Like it's something that flows naturally. It's something I do without stress. There are some things you do without stress. Even if someone wakes you by 12 midnight, you deliver. Good. So that's how teaching is for me. And let's say members of my family, it runs. My mom and all her siblings but one are teachers, and they taught till retirement age. Okay. Yeah, if I should take down memory lane a bit, I remembered when I was in primary school, even secondary school. I'll go get modern biology. I don't know if you're in science. So I'll get modern biology, learn about, let's say, the ear or the eye, study it on my own, understand. Now go and teach my classmates in class without having a handout or any notebook. So it's something that is in me. That's the first part, okay? So before I went to the university to be trained as a med lab scientist, I've already started teaching since primary school, secondary school, and even there in the medical school. There are some concepts that may not really be so clear. My classmates will come, show me please, I didn't understand this, the other one. And by the grace of God, since it's something that is in me, and I love sharing knowledge too. Yes, no need hoarding knowledge, because that thing you feel someone knows it much more than you. So why hoard it? Okay. So I'll teach my classmates, and it continued. So after graduating and being inducted into our council as a medical laboratory scientist, now let's get down to where did this Igbo start? Now, my inspiration to delve into Igbo completely can be traced to three things. First one, my daughter. You'll be wondering, how did my daughter come into the picture? Relax, I'm going to explain. So first, my daughter, then An article I saw online some years ago, that should be either 2020 or 2021, but it's just that I didn't just know why I didn't maybe screenshot or get the link of that article. And then the third reason is a life regret. So let me combine the three. For the record, I'm a
Okay.
mom of three. I'm a mom of three. So when my first daughter entered primary one, like grade one, right? So going through her schoolwork, I saw different versions of English. What do I mean by different versions? I saw diction. I saw a reading and comprehension. I saw creative writing. I saw like 4 different English language lesson notes. And I'm like, when we went to primary school, we didn't have this kind of setting. We probably had only one English lesson note, but they had up to 4 or 5. I can't count the number again. But I don't have any problem with them learning or those forms. No, 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 no. After all, we pray that our kids should be better exposed than ourselves, right?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
But what now called my attention is the fact that I didn't see any Nigerian language in all the subjects they offered. So the next day, when I went to pick her up from school, I went to meet the headmistress to like query her, like, how come your school you don't do any Nigerian language? She said, ah, madam. Well, let her tell me the truth. I said, go ahead, I'm all ears. She said that first of all, that it was really hard to get Nigerian language teachers then. They are all over the place now compared to some 5 years ago, 6 years ago, 7 years ago. Yes. So that it was really hard for her school to get one language teacher. Then after the whole trying, she finally got an Igbo language teacher and introduced Igbo language in her school. But along the line, okay, for the records, I live in Port Harcourt. Okay, so you know that Port Harcourt is not really an eastern state, it's not part of the eastern state. So Igbo is not primarily spoken here. We have people from different states, Igbo, Hausa, Efik, Yoruba, Delta. So that when she introduced Igbo language in the school, that parents from other ethnic groups were kicking against the idea, and they were like, I'm from this particular place. Why will my child learn Igbo? If you should teach Igbo in your school, bring this teacher, bring Yoruba teacher, bring Hausa teacher, bring Efik teacher, so that my kids will learn our language. And you're not going to blame them, right? People have different
Yeah.
orientations and different mindsets. So you're not going to blame them. So after the whole kicking front and back, she now had to scrape Nigerian languages. So when she explained that to me, and I told myself, wait, outside being a mom, I got to notice that children socialize at home, in school, and in church. So now she won't get Igbo language from school, obviously, because they don't teach. Now, church is once a week, majorly. And you still have
Yeah.
different people from different places. So it's ruled out too in church, right? So meaning that the home is the only place remaining if my kids can speak Igbo, meaning that the home is the only place they will be exposed to the language. So I now made a conscious decision that day and said, I will personally, the way I teach them English, mathematics, I'll personally bring Igbo language notebook and start teaching them. That was the daughter part of the inspiration. Now, still within that same period, I now saw that article that had a research that Igbo language is one of the in a list that Igbo language is one of the languages at the risk of being extinct. I think the record said either 2025. Yes, then. And I'm like, wait, oh, For something to go extinct, that means it's no longer, it won't be in existence. Meaning that in the next 5, 10 years, if I tell somebody, "Cherema na mabia," the person will tell me, "What did you say?" So I couldn't come to terms with pardon me, please. I couldn't come to, I'll talk to someone in Igbo and the person will not understand me. I said, the same Igbo that my parents taught me and I can speak. No, now, even our forefathers, they will not be happy with our generation if such a thing happens. Because this is transgenerational. They taught us. So it's on us to pass it to the next generation. Okay, so that's the article part of it. And then the third one was now a life regret. Why did I call it a life regret? My dad, of blessed memory, speaks 5 languages fluently. My dad
Wow.
speaks Igbo, or rather, my dad spoke because he's late. My dad spoke Igbo. My dad spoke Hausa. My dad spoke Yoruba. My dad spoke Pidgin English. And my dad spoke correct English. So my dad spoke these 5 languages, right? So whenever he comes home, he will want to teach us Yoruba and Hausa. But kids will say no, we don't want to learn. We are Igbos. Why are we learning Hausa? I remember those days, my dad will teach us Daya, Biyu, Uku, Hudu, Shida, Takwais, Tara, Goma, Goma, Shada. This is Hausa, number in Hausa. I'm even surprised
Yes.
I still remembered it after over 30 years, right? So growing up now, I got to see the wonders knowing a language can do. Because when you speak to someone in the person's language, there is this connection that is deep, unlike someone that doesn't understand the language. So these 3 things culminated and inspired me more in the transitioning into Igbo language. And then I could say that when I started teaching Igbo, I had in mind that it would just be a side hustle. Of course, I'm a medical practitioner and I know my onion. So I had it that it would just be a side hustle. But along the line, I saw that this is a huge problem. Sincerely, it's a huge problem that you would see adults that they'll be like, please, I want to learn this Igbo. My parents didn't teach me. And I get mocked by my age mates. They will tell me, ordinary beer, you don't know. They receive lots of insults and mockery. I said, lots of them. I said, wonderful. And in today's world, when you see a problem and you are able to create a solution, that's business for you. So I had influx of demand. The demand was so much that I even had teachers, people under me that joined in the business. So conclusively, teaching Igbo right now fits so well in my life because one, I love to teach. It's natural, right? And then being a mom of 3, it gives me the time to take care of my kids because I so much believe that it's better and easier to train a child than to correct an adult. So if you don't get it right now, they are tender. You are in for something you may not be able to handle in the next 10 years. Yes. So that's exactly why I transitioned. So it's my gift, it's my passion, it gives me time, and of course, it yields the income. So why not?
You are running a business. So, what were the challenges that you faced in the beginning of starting up your business, and how did you overcome them?
All right, right. Yes, every facet, every business has its own challenges, and mine is not an exception, right? So when I
Yeah.
started newly, the first basic challenge I had was being able to persuade potential clients of the effectiveness of online class. You know, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, online teaching isn't as rampant as it is now. That's correct. People weren't really learning online. I think it was during that period of COVID that the whole online teaching skyrocketed. Yes. So then it was a bit a challenge for me to persuade and convince my a potential clients, because they believe that online class may not really be as effective as the traditional one-on-one learning. So that was the major challenge. But I thank God that some parents decided to give it a trial. And when they gave it a trial, they saw that it was very, very effective. Because for a class to be effective, the style of teaching, the method of engagement, all these factors contribute to a class being effective. And guess what? Those parents that believed in me, their kids became my testimonial, and they brought me more clients. They'll say, "Oh, do you think it's even possible?" I say, "Yes." So, if not, how did my child learn this? Some of the parents will tell me, "Only this 1 month of learning Igbo, my kids are beginning to greet me in Igbo, say some basic things at home, which they never knew from Adam," meaning that they got all from the online class. So, that was the major one. Then again, for the fact that Igbo language doesn't really have lots of digital resources. That was a challenge too, as when compared to other languages like French, English, Spanish, these ones have been there for ages, right? But Igbo, there were little or no resources online that someone that is just starting out can use and now build on. So I had to engage the core educationalists, and we put heads together and drafted a curriculum that's a blend of audio, visuals, text, games, conversational classes, animations, and all that. So let's say I created some of my resources from the scratch, and then with time, saw some more resources and added up to them. Then another challenge was time zone difference. Yes, in as much as I'm on a mission to restore and promote the use of Igbo language, but 99, okay, let me not say 99, greater percentage of people that need the service, like the target audience, are usually those in diaspora. Yes, even though people outside Southeast also need it, but somehow they don't it's as if they don't need it as, it's not as strong as people in diaspora, how quick they really need it. So, but permit me to say in Igbo again, they will say na ego no nogu, right? and that, and that's not onwero ụzọ esi ga Ọnịcha dị nso, right? So there is no easy way of making money. So the challenge and the sacrifice I had to pay then was to wake up in the night, because look at a place like Canada. Some of the provinces have up to 8 hours difference time when compared to Nigeria. So meaning that most times I teach them from 11 p.m., 12, 1, 2, and even 3 a.m. So initially it was a challenge, but with planning, plan myself, sleep sometimes in the day. So that imagine coming to class and you see your teacher is nodding. And you come and see a teacher nodding. You just can tell your parents, "Mommy, that Igbo teacher or that Igbo teacher is sleeping in class." So with planning, I was able to sort that one out. And again, internet, you know that somehow you can't compare internet connection to the much more developed countries. So but I started with normal phone Wi-Fi, then gradually to having a more stable network connection. Yeah. So by the grace of God, network connection isn't a problem anymore. The time zone difference, my body is already used to it. Even during Christmas, somehow unconsciously, those times I will wake up because I've done the business for years. And then yeah, finally light. Of course, we're in Nigeria now. You know that, you know how wonderful our light system is. We speak about our nation anywhere we find ourselves. So our light condition is wonderful. So those early days, when they really want to show their wonderful aspects, by the grace of God, I have a standby generator that works well. So sometimes I switch to my generator. Then along the line, I had to, of course, this is a business and investment is part of the business. You should invest in something that yields. Yes. So with time, I had to get solar energy. I installed solar energy in my home so that I know I don't have any problem with light anymore. So if there is no PHED, there is generator. If there is no generator, there is solar. So during rainy season, if the solar is not giving, generator will give. So anyhow, I must be in class. So those are the challenges, and I'm glad I've been able to sort them out.
What strategies did you use in attracting and retaining your clients?
First of all, there is always the trial phase, right? So
Yeah.
those clients that took the risk and signed up their kids, okay, the first strategy is I'll always offer my prospects trial class. Okay. So why do I do that trial class? Is for you to test and see. If you come to class and someone teaches you for 1 whole hour, truth be told, you should be able to know if this person is a good teacher or not. True or false?
True.
Beautiful. So once I tell them, okay, if you feel that online class may not really be effective, what about we do maybe 3 hours trial class? You don't pay the full money, just pay for the 1, 2, or 3 hours. And the thing is that before they are done with the 1 hour, they are blown away. Some of them before I wake up, because it's US, Canada, different time zone. Before I even wake up, I'll see that they've paid for the 20 hours just after doing the first 1 hour. So that's the first strategy. Test and see. If you think that we are good fit, then we continue. But if you think we are not a good fit, bye bye. See you later. So that is it. So that's the first strategy. The second strategy is that referral part. Okay. Because I believe that this is a problem, especially for people in diaspora. So if you are able to see an instructor that, by the grace of God, is helping your kids learn and speak Igbo, it's not bad if you share the good news to others. So I get lots of hello, so and so person gave me your contact. I heard you taught so and so person. So the referral system works wonders for me. Even some of the associations of Ndibo I teach in diaspora, because apart from family one-on-one classes, I also teach groups of learners, right? So some of those groups came via referrals from parents that have taught their kids. Then again, my social media presence, especially LinkedIn, right? So I post informational and educational content on Igbo language. And when I'm done with some of this content, people come to my inbox and say, oh, I love the way you explained this. Like I'm a 5-year old. I understood it. Like the way you broke down the concept, that's so nice. So the social media aspect of it also helped in getting clients. So, and then at some point, I invested in adverts. Yes, to advertise myself, because you can be wonderful, you can be nice, but if you don't have visibility, forget it. Someone that you're even much more better than will be getting leads here and there. So I also invested in advertisements. So these are the ways I was able to strategize to gain and retain my clients.
Your class, is it a live class or is it a recorded class?
All right. My lessons are life classes. You know why? Even though there is a course, because apart from teaching Igbo, I also offer course creation as a service. For example, I have a company in Europe. They were looking for an Igbo language course creator. After their whole advert and the whole interview, they told me I was their best fit because I've taught for maybe their whole interview process, they saw that I was just the best fit. So they gave me the gig of creating a full beginner Igbo language course for them, and it's on sale on Udemy. So I created the course for them. Now, do you know the beautiful thing about this course? According to someone, let me not say according to myself, because I know what I did in the course, but someone neutral went to Udemy, got the course, and was blown away. Do you know that this adult learner had to trace, because I introduced myself as the course creator. So he had to trace me down to LinkedIn and sent me a message that God will bless me, that he was born in the UK and he has been looking for ways to learn Igbo. He will go to YouTube. Sometimes the content is not like structured. You learn greeting today, you learn phrase tomorrow, you learn, everywhere. But that the course took him step by step by step. We do nouns today, pronouns, verbs, merge them, sentence formation. That the course was so wonderful that he had to look for who created it. Then when he did Google search, he saw my LinkedIn profile. He now came to my inbox just to say thank you for creating such a course for Ndi Igbo to have access. So, but my personal classes are live, one-on-one, so that if they have questions, they'll be able to express themselves and get the best out of it. Yes, the course is also effective, but course, and if you have a question, you don't have me live to answer. So that's just the difference between the two.
You are doing a live class, like you said. So, what are some of the challenges that you have seen these learners face, and how is your program or your course is structured to help them overcome these challenges?
All right. Okay. First of all, the challenge, I may say, they have, but not all learners will be the pronunciation. You know that, as this is a language class, we need the tongue, like it should be very oral. Okay. So sometimes and they face it with words that have blends. What do I mean blends? Blends are the Igbo alphabets, those ones that are double, like P, Chi, Kwe, those ones that are double. Now, owing to the fact that these alphabets are not in English, so they are entirely new to them. So sometimes they find it difficult to pronounce those words. But do you know one thing I tell them? There is no way you will compare your Igbo. You were born and bred in US. There's no way you compare your Igbo to me that have spent over 30 years in East, right? Yes. No, I'm not saying that you will not speak well. You will speak well, but it's just like me coming to compete with a Chinese and speaking China. When I've never been to China, maybe I just took a course. Pardon me, it's just that I love being practical and I love being real, right? Maybe because I just took a course, learned Chinese in 3 months, and I now want to go and compete with a native Chinese speaker. No. So what I do is repetition. I keep repeating it till they pick that right sound. Then again, sometimes I let some of them slide. Do you know why? When I let them slide, depending on the learner, because you know that learning is personalized. If I notice that this learner is someone that needs a lot of prodding and pampering, I can let it slide so that the person doesn't lose interest at the moment. They'll be like, this Igbo, which one is me? Which one is we? Which one is... So they may kind of get discouraged. So sometimes I let those ones slide. Then by the time they say like, oh, this Igbo, I can't do without this Igbo. This Igbo is everything I've got. I'll not point them back. And before you know it, some of them, since they've already fallen in love with the language, the method of teaching, they now get much more open to get those corrections well. Then again, along learning, I watch those students they now want to pronounce something like boy, wa also, and they say something like ba also. Wa also. And once they do it, I clap for them because they themselves have noted that they didn't get it right and corrected themselves. Right? So that showed that learning took place and they have unconsciously improved in that aspect. So that's it.
What are the roles that technology, and learning platforms play in your business?
The world is a global village now, right? Yes, and
Yeah.
we are in the tech era. We are in the tech era, so we cannot keep a blind eyes to tech in education, right? Good.
Yes.
Now, that simply means that since we are in tech now, tech should also be incorporated in learning, even Igbo. Now, do you know one thing? Sometimes when I want to onboard my learners, and the parents are like, "Oh, how does this Igbo learning work?" I explain down to telling them that we even play games. They be like, "Eh, games in Igbo? How do you plan to achieve that? How do you plan to achieve to play game in Igbo?" And funny enough, that would be like, let me enter this class and know how this lady will play game in Igbo. Like, how is that possible? But when they come, they see that it is much more possible and they enjoy it. One of the days, first of all, let me talk about gamification. Let me talk about gamification since they are related. So, one of the ways tech has really helped me is I incorporate lots of gamification in my class, especially for the very younger kids. But over the years, I got to discover that even adults want the game. When they're done with the lesson, they say, "Onye nkuzi, any game?" I be like, "You see, this father wants game." Oh." All right. So one of the days I introduced one game to my I think 12-year-old in US. So immediately I shared my screen. He said, "Oh my God, I used this to learn about US history." I said, "Hmm?" He said, "Yes, my history teacher here in US used this to teach us about US history, and we learned it real quick." And I said, "Oh, that means using this will make you learn Igbo real quick too." He said, "Yes." In the child's mind, I used this tool to learn about the history of US. And I come to Igbo class and I see the same tool. That means there is something about this Igbo I really need to learn. And that only that got him glued till the end of the class. So first of all, I use gamification. There are lots of websites and apps that support Igbo letters, even though it's not as many as normal letters, because those are our dots, those punctuations in Igbo. They're kind of, there are some websites that don't really support them. So gamification. Then I also use tech in creating my content, right? Especially videos, because whenever you are learning, you should have the text, you should have visuals, because you also have you can also even make it move like animation. For example, you want to say something like ga go. If you're able to animate a leg that is moving, somehow it will stick in the mind of the learner. So I use tech in creating my content. I use gamification a lot. Then even the mode of learning, Google Meet and Zoom, they are tech tools, right? So these are the ways I use tech in my class. And again, there is an app I use that handles audio. My adult learners were blown away 2 weeks ago because that was a group class. After teaching, I asked them to scan the barcode on their screen because I assigned it using a barcode. I told them scan. When they scanned, it took them to the website for them to have their in-class audio assignments. So they looked at my screen, saw the sentences they should say in Igbo, did the recording in their phone, uploaded it to the website, and all of us did peer review. So I'll just click Chioma Ekeoma's recording. The whole class will hear what the person was able to say in Igbo. We do the correction together, the next student. So these are the ways I incorporate tech in my class.
What advice would you give to others, especially women who wants to start their business or who are just starting their business?
Whatever idea, it has the ability to grow, provided you invest in it. Sometimes when we say investment, we think it's only money. No, money is not the only thing to invest in a business. You invest your time. I remember sometimes I will Google tech tools to use, and I see them. Next thing, I go to YouTube. How do you use this? It's investment. And by the time I see 2, 3, 4 movies, sorry, not movies, videos, I know how to use a tech tool. I practice it. And thanks to my children, I always practice things with them. So I'll use the other laptop, tell them to log in and practice it with them. And it's working. So the next time I use it in my class. So any woman that has any business idea, do not say that, oh, having kids is not a disservice. No, 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 no. I'm a proud mom, and till tomorrow, I love being a mom. I love being a wife, and I love being a mom, and it's still part of achievement. So do not feel that having kids will kind of deter you. The only thing is that it may slow you down. Or even if you are slowed down a bit, you are not stopped. Because till tomorrow, even though I have a thriving business, it's my family first. I don't joke with them. My family first before the business. So if any lady, any woman has any idea, go for it. Plan yourself. You see how I just told you how my typical day goes. Time for food, time for content. Just plan yourself. Plan your 24 hours in such a way that you have your business working, you have your family working too. And if it gets overwhelming, outsource. You don't need to get all the profit yourself. I have teachers that work with me, so instead of me eating the whole money, I outsource it, give them my material so that they have the same quality of content, right? And they teach for me. Sometimes I need a service of a designer, even though I can do 1 or 2 designs, but I still outsource it so that I can have time for some other things I really need to do. So whatever the idea is, go for it, plan yourself, and by the grace of God, with the right resources and investments, you'll scale through.
Today Africa Podcast is a podcast series where we interview African entrepreneurs and professionals and share the stories behind their businesses. In each interview, we ask how they got started, how they grew, and how they run their business today. The stories are inspiring and also provide specific advice and insight into starting a business. By sharing these stories, we want to help others get started.